Okay, I think we can get started. If people join a bit later, that's okay. Um, Thanks all for being here. First thing I would like to say is uh, I've organized this mentoring session with a few different purposes or ideas in mind. But first and foremost, I want this to be a time for us to have some fun, as in some a time for us to look forward to in the week, right? So uh, no stress, no question is a dumb question. So if there are questions that you want to ask, you're not too sure about it, it's all good. Just ask those questions because your question
Yes,
might
your
be
question might be
someone else's question as well. Um, okay, sorry, got a message here. Okay, so people saying that they're turning off their microphone.
microphone.
So there's a bit of background noise there. Cool. Yes, so welcome to the Cyber Mentoring session sponsored by Cliffside Cybersecurity. Let me jump to the next slide here. Hopefully it's all working okay and you can see my screen. But as I said, first of all, thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to have this discussion with you guys and not only share a bit of my knowledge throughout my career, but also learn from all of you, right? So I think we've been down different paths, and I'm more than certain that there is as much learning as sharing in the session as we will see. So I think Satish, there is a bit of background or echo when I'm speaking. Yeah, that will be good. So just sharing a little bit about myself. Some of you might have met me before. I know for sure I know Abdallah. I've seen him 2 days ago in an event, but I've been in the cybersecurity space for more than 25 years, consulting in South America, Europe, and Australia for the past 15 years. I run two businesses, cybersecurity related businesses. One of them is Cliffside Cybersecurity, which is a cybersecurity consulting business. And we also launched an application or a platform called CyberIn, which is a platform that companies use to manage their cybersecurity efforts. Why are we here? So I've I've had the chance to speak at an event a couple of weeks ago, and the amount of feedback I got and the people coming to talk to me, it was overwhelming. So too many people interested, too many people with questions. And I was like, you know what? Perhaps it would be good for us to set up a session where people can, participate, ask questions, and see if we can provide some guidance, either if you're starting your journey in the cyber security, or if you've been down that road and you have something to share with the group. It's just an opportunity for us to meet each other, share knowledge, and have some fun as well. Any questions so far? So before I ask you for questions, I just want to run through the house rules so we organize this thing. Otherwise, if we all start speaking at the same time, it's going to be a bit confusing. Ideally, we keep the mics muted whilst I'm talking or when anyone is talking. So if you see someone is going to talk, let's mute ourselves, myself included. There is a little feature on Teams, which is raise your hand. I don't know if you guys can see it, but once you click it, it basically shows me that people are raising their hands to ask a question. And once you raise your hand, I'm going to go in order. So whoever raised their hands first, we're going to get that person talking and so on and so forth. I'm planning to record this session to publish on YouTube. So if you guys are not comfortable with me recording, you can turn off your camera or drop off. But the idea is recording this session so that people that were not able to attend can watch this video later, and perhaps some of their questions are going to be answered as well. I know there are people from all over the world in here, so let's try to keep the conversation in English. If you're not 100% comfortable asking questions in English, it's okay. You can send us a chat, a message via chat, and I can read it out loud for everyone to see. Uh, don't be shy. We're not here to judge. As I said, we're here to learn, right? And throughout my career, I think the best way to learn something is making mistakes. And so do not be afraid to make any mistakes whilst we're here. It's a safe environment. And like I said, let's have fun. Let's keep it lighthearted and something to look forward to after a long week. Let me change the slide here. Okay, so just a proposed structure so we keep these more or less organized. My intention was to keep the first 5 minutes for an intro. We're over 5 minutes, but that's okay. It's the first session. But from this point forward for the next sessions, the idea will be for us to review our homework, spend 5 minutes having a quick chat about the homework, because I'm going to assign you guys some homework, some exercises for you to start practicing your cyber skills. Then we're going to discuss a couple of topics. So what I've done right now, like before this meeting, was on that form that you filled out, there was a field for questions or comments that you might have or topics you want us to cover. So what I've done is I created a little survey, and we're going to go through the survey briefly. So we're going to pick the topics we are most interested to discuss about, and we're going to try to give each topic 10 minutes for that discussion. And after that, we're going to jump into an exercise. So something I prepared for you. Uh, the way I put this thing together is, let's start very basic, because I don't know the level of knowledge you have in the cyber space. Therefore, let's level from the bottom, and then we're going to start building knowledge on top of that foundational knowledge that we're going to go through. All good so far? Oh, awesome. So these were the topics that people asked me the most about on the forum. So I kindly ask all of you to scan that QR code and vote on the topics that are more interesting for us to cover today, if you could do that. So Satish is saying, are you sharing your screen? I can't see it. So can you guys see my screen or not? No? Okay. So I've been talking through slides for the past 5 minutes, and you guys are not actually looking at the slides. Apologies. So can you see my screen now?
It was working like a minute ago, but then it stopped abruptly. So
Okay.
all good
So,
now. We can see it.
so if the screen stops working, please let me know straight away, because I was talking through the slides and I thought you guys are looking at the screen, but probably not the case. So can you guys scan this QR code and start voting on the topics we're going to discuss today, please? Can you guys see the QR code? Okay, cool. Is it working, the survey? Because I'm not seeing any responses yet. It's meant to. Oh, okay. It started working now. Cool. Cool. So have you all voted? I'll give it another 30 seconds just so we jump straight into it. Oh, all good, Ricardo. Okay, so yeah, it's been changing in real time. Okay, I'll stop it for now. So let's pick the three topics. Okay, still changing. Okay, three topics for us to talk about. So transition into cybersecurity career, topic number one, job acquisition strategies and certification and education. So that doesn't mean we're not going to cover the other topics, but perhaps for the next mentoring session, we can focus on other topics then. You guys still looking at my screen, right? Still working, right? Okay, cool. Awesome. So let me change the slide here. So, oops, I understand. 10 minutes. So the idea is let's spend 10 minutes on each topic here. I will try to keep a timer going just so we don't overextend ourselves. So timer, let me see if there is a timer on my computer. Start timer. Okay, so I'll set it to 10 minutes for the first topic. Minutes 10. Cool. Apparently it's the timer is running. So um, raise your hand and let's talk about transitioning to cybersecurity. Ask me whatever questions you guys have, and I will try my best to answer your questions. I might not have all the answers you might be looking for, but if I don't, I will try to find out for you. So who's going to go first? Cool. Paresh, you have your hand raised, so feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions.
Yeah, hi. The thing is, I'm transitioning into cyber from finance, accounting, auditing background. I've done my certifications as well, and I'm trying to get the foot in the door. Um, with my transferable skills, I'm trying concentrating on GRC area. So, is that the correct uh, area where I'm targeting? Is that correct? Or should I kind of progress from other area into GRC?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you my answer, but if you guys have any comments as well, feel free to jump in. It's good to hear from all of you. We might have different opinions, different views, different experience. GRC, it's governance, risk, and compliance. So it's the governance part of cybersecurity. And Paresh's question was about this transition to a GRC. So there are usually two. It's a branched approach to cybersecurity. Either you come from a very technical background, which I would say 70 to 80% usually come from a very technical background. They've been working as let's say supports, IT supports, or network engineer, and so on and so forth. But there are also people that are coming from a governance and risk background. So, um, okay, so Joanne jumped out. That's okay. So, trying to answer your question, because you're coming from a less technical background, I think the first question you need to ask yourself is, I'm, am I looking to jump into the technical side of cyber as well? Or am I looking to focus myself on the GRC side of it? Is that's a question for you, Paresh. What would you
Okay.
say?
Um, as um, the technical, I'm not exposed more to the technical area.
Hmm.
So I'd be more inclined towards the lesser technical area within cyber.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. So I believe that GRC is definitely the space for you to start from,
Oh, okay.
especially if you have any background in auditing. I don't know if that's the case with you, but some people that jump into the GRC side of cyber,
Mm-hmm.
they usually have an auditing or compliance background. So it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a transferable skill, right? So if you've been auditing numbers, so you're basically auditing it based on a standard, on a
Mm-hmm.
regulation, and you have a good understanding of what the intent of that
Mm-hmm.
regulation is
Mm-hmm.
and how it's implemented in an organization. So I would say if you're not looking to jump into the technical side of it,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's definitely the way to go. So if you look for example, risk management roles,
Mm-hmm.
risk analyst, or like a audit, like a junior role within the
Mm-hmm.
audit space, so supporting the auditors.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also going to need to study quite a lot about cybersecurity. You're going to need to understand what you're auditing, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
there is a technical element to it, but
Right.
it's not all technical. I hope that helps answer the question. And if anyone else has
Yes.
any comments, please just unmute yourself.
Just wondering for Paresh, what is it about cybersecurity that inspired you to lean towards this niche? And I think that would be a big part of um, finding a career in cyber. For example, let's say in your particular case, you really like the idea of being a hacker in a hoodie, but then if you were to transition into a GRC role and work in it for a year or 2 years, you would not find it very rewarding for you because you're not finding what you came for.
Right. Makes sense. Yep. Um, that I'm not concentrating currently. The thing is, getting into cyber is getting tougher day by day. Um, Basically, with non-technical persons getting into cyber, it's a huge task in itself. So, kind of building up on the transferable skill which I already have, getting into cyber, get some experience, and then kind of, as Adri said, branch out into other specializations. That's what I'm focusing on currently.
Satish, do you want to add something?
Yeah, just unmuting myself. Hey everyone, I'm Satish, and I have long experience in the quality and coding and automation space, and recently I started learning about cybersecurity. So, to Paresh's question about the GRC, like the compliance part of it, we actually have a startup that helps the small to medium businesses with Essential 8 compliance. I want to ask Paresh if he has considered doing some certifications. There is an Essential 8 SSR TAFE course, which actually gives you all the skills you need to be an Essential 8 assessor. So in that might be helpful. And there are other frameworks out there which you can look at, like SOC 2 or ISO, and there's like a bunch of them. So I think probably that would be something you can consider to land a
Mhm,
job in this space.
mhm,
I'll just post a link to that TAFE course I mentioned about Essential 8, but it doesn't have to be that. I mean, there are a lot of other things that you can look at to become the assessor for various frameworks.
All right. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Satish. Anyone else raising their hands? So Abdal is giving us the thumbs up. Any other questions related to transitioning to the cybersecurity space? Ricardo? Okay, so he's saying, I'm coming from networking to cyber. Do you think it's essential to complete a cybersecurity course or certifications first? What would be the best sequence to get your first job? So if you're coming from a networking background, so you've got the foundation, the technical foundation, right? And when I say technical foundation, it doesn't need to necessarily mean that you know everything about networking, but you probably have been in situations where you need to troubleshoot issues, you need to deal with customers, your clients, and so on and so forth. Those soft skills are going to help you quite a lot with that. But the technical background as well, right? So you more or less know how things work, at least from a networking perspective. So if I'm going to say what I said in my previous speech about this topic. So if you're looking to jump into the cyber industry, let's say on the short term, perhaps a certification is going to help you with that. So if you start pursuing certifications related to, let's say, network security, firewalls, and so on and so forth, or even cloud security, that's something that I highly recommend. But for the long term, I would definitely recommend you like a graduation, something a bit more long term. That if for example, visa is something that you're going after as well. Having that graduation, uh, that's going to help you quite a lot in the process of obtaining the visa as well. I hope that answers the question. So, Sarah, you raised your hand. Don't know if you have any comments. I'll
Hey, thanks
mute
so much,
myself.
Ajay. You kind of semi answered it then in what you were just saying. Like, I don't come to cybersecurity from a technical background, but I come from communications and exercise science. So I'm kind of looking to transition into the field. And it seems, from what I understand, that for somebody with my background, the best way would be to look at networking as potentially, or cloud as a first entry point, and then building from there into more specialized areas. Is that a pretty good summary of kind of the way I should approach it?
Yeah, I would say, and Ricardo, don't get me wrong. I come from a networking background myself, like more than 20 years ago, but networking is something that is reaching the end of its uh, glory, if I may say that. So it's not as easy to find networking jobs as it was like 10, 15 years ago because of the cloud, right? So networking has become a softer issue because of the cloud. Therefore, if you have to choose between pursuing more certifications related to networking or jumping into cloud security, my recommendation would be jumping to the cloud bandwagon, because that's going to give you longevity in pursuing another job. There are going to be more opportunities as well. I hope that answers both questions.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks so much for that.
Okay, cool. So timer is over. Let's jump to the next topic. So let me start the timer here. So just for your benefit, Sarah, we're giving 10 minutes to each topic, and then we're going to have an exercise that we're going to go through. So I will try to keep tight to the timing here. Okay, I just started the timer. Second topic is job acquisition strategies. So who has got a question? Who wants to start? So Ricardo, you still have your hand raised. Do you have another question, or is it just related to the previous question? Not sure if he heard me. But what questions do you guys have around job acquisition strategies? Who wants to go first? Otherwise, I would just talk about it. Okay, no questions so far. So I will share a little bit about my experience as the CEO for Cliffside Cybersecurity. So, what do I look for when I'm interviewing a candidate? And hopefully, these tips are something that you're gonna carry with you for pretty much everything you do, because it's common sense, right? So the very first thing that I tell people in this space is, if you don't have that particular knowledge that the company is looking for, and you try to lie your way through for that particular role, it only takes 10 seconds of an interview to know that you're not legit, if that makes sense, right? So if you're applying for a role that requires, let's say, firewall knowledge, checkpoint firewall knowledge, and I'm interviewing you, and you try to or you pretend you know about it, it's not going to take me too long, not just me, but your interviewer, like a technical interviewer, to understand that you're not across the topic. So being honest will take you much further than trying to lie your way through. So if you say, for example, you're applying for a role, so I'll pick Ricardo as an example. He comes from a networking background, right? Uh, I don't know if he knows much about firewalls or not, but if I'm looking for someone with, let's say, network security background, and Ricardo tells me, Adri, listen, I've been working the networking space for the past 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, or whatever. I haven't been exposed to cybersecurity yet, but it's a topic I'm heavily interested in. I want to learn about it. I might need some guidance from you on things that I should study. I'm willing to build a lab at home and do some practical exercises to learn a bit more about that. So what I'm trying to say here is, uh, instead of pretending you know a particular topic, uh, leaders in this space will give more value and weight to your curiosity, to your initiative. You want to go and you want to learn. You're looking for someone to help them develop that knowledge. I hope that makes sense. So that's my point number one. Point number two, don't don't uh, think there is a single path to start your journey, right? And don't think that by choosing something that slightly deviates from the path is a bad thing. So if you have no cybersecurity background whatsoever, I acknowledge it's not an easy feat to find a job in that space, but you should be also applying for IT roles, right? Not necessarily cyber, but let's say IT support or uh, project management, or things that take you closer to where you want to be. So don't think that you're taking a step backwards, but rather, let's say, if you decide to start your journey as an IT support kind of role, you're gonna start learning some soft skills that are easily transferable to cybersecurity. And then all you need to do is to perhaps complement that knowledge with cyber specific knowledge. So certifications, uh, like a graduation in the cyberspace, but at least you're going to be exposed to that environment. And it's one step forwards towards where you want to be, not necessarily a step in the, let's say, straight direction. It might be like a side step, but still a step forward, kind of, let's say, diagonal step. But if you have an objective, which is, I want to jump into the cyberspace, and if you're finding it extremely difficult, uh, look for other options in the IT space, or as Paresh shared before, risk management, GRC, and so on and so forth. So, Fernando, you have a question.
Hi, Adri. How are you?
Hi, Fernando.
Thank
Nice to
you.
meet you.
Thank you for your time. Yeah, I don't have any IT background, and I try my transition for cybersecurity. I'm recent graduate and apply a lot, not just for jobs with pay and pay as well, like volunteering, everything. And like you said before, I use this strategy as well when I saw some role for help desk or something. I try to apply, but I don't know, put like my all my effort on this type of roles because, for example, for cybersecurity, I apply for entire Australia, like everywhere, doesn't matter. When I have opportunity, I just relocate for just for help desk support or ACT or something like this. I try to canalize more for my place in Sydney because it's like you say, it's a diagonal step, and some is good. Is a one way for start, of course, special for me because I don't have IT background. I try to transfer my skills because I have audiovisual background. I have 15 years in cinema, videography, photography, in different departs. And I don't know what you think. You know the market in Australia, and sorry for talk a lot, but I know the market in Australia, and the most of the entry roles, junior roles, is ask you for 1 year, 2 years experience. Is a little bit annoying to see, and now I think is next year will change some rules on the cybersecurity from government, and people start to tell me, "Oh, maybe have more jobs." I don't know if have or not for entry levels because it's like I talked before with some recruiters. If the client, if the company have money for contract, probably will spend money with someone with experience, not with someone without experience. But in my point of view, and ask you, this is a question for you. Uh, what do you think is most difficult to learn? The soft skills, something come from your personality and your life experience, or technical skills? What is more difficult to learn and fast for
Okay.
going
I
to the
I have
field?
my own opinion, but I would like to ask the group what their opinion is on, or what their answer is for Fernando's question. Is it easier to learn a soft skill, or is it easier to learn a technical skill? Paresh, you want to go first? I will call you one by one.
Yeah. Uh, Myself coming from a non-technical field, I'd say the technical part, learning is a different part. Understanding it and putting it in the real practice is another part. So coming from a non-technical part, I'd say the technical aspect is asked as of now. And soft skills, yes, definitely. Cyber security does require soft skill. So it's basically once you put into use, you sharpen your skills as you go. So I guess getting the first role, how you apply your skills acquired and how you sharpen them as you go is an individual aspect as such. And having a mentor like um, Adri, you get a senior um in your workforce, it's definitely going to add a being a catalyst and it is going to boost in future.
Cool. Awesome. So I'm just mindful of our time. Does anyone else have any points to add to Paresh's answer, or can I answer the question from my point of view? Sarah?
I just wanted to, quickly say that I think makes a really good point there in terms of Paresh, excuse me, in terms of how those skills are all learnable essentially. Like you can learn whether it's hard or soft. It's kind of more about whether you have the desire to learn those skills. So I come in with a soft background, but I'm really driven to learn the technical skills. So it's kind of like how you pair it up, and if you know your why, then driving towards that as well. It doesn't matter whether it's soft or hard, and you have different soft skills from different industries too. So sometimes there are industry specific skills that are really transferable as well. So yeah, learning more about the space definitely helps to see how you can use those skills and where the gaps are. At least that's my experience so far.
Yeah, just to add to Sarah's answer, I really like that, Sarah. I will just add a little twist to it. So I personally believe that learning a soft skill is usually harder because you don't have that much information available to learn, for example, how to be nice and polite to people. So it's something that you usually learn naturally through your iteration with people. But if you want to learn how to spin up an instance on AWS, there is definitely a YouTube video that is going to tell you that, and you can practice that at home. But I think it's if I were to choose one of the skills to perhaps pick like the hard or easy one, it would be the other way around. So the soft skill is the harder part. So how to communicate with people, how to influence people, because there is lots of influencing people within the cyberspace, right? So telling them, explaining why something needs to be done, or they need to change the way they do things for the past 20 years because it's no longer secure, in my opinion, is much harder than changing a firewall rule. But like I totally agree with you, Sarah, as well. So I think we're here to share our experience and points of view. So that there is no right answer. I think it's just different perspectives. We have another 20 minutes to go. So before we continue, we can either jump into the third topic, which is certifications and education. We can keep going with this one, or we can jump into the exercise that will take us like roughly 20 minutes. So what do you guys prefer? Do we keep talking about this topic, jump to the next one, or jump into the exercise? Once again, don't be afraid.
What is the exercise about, may I ask?
Yeah, so we're gonna go through a scenario, and we're gonna start talking about the foundation, the basics, the foundation of cybersecurity for those that do not have a cyber background.
Okay.
Yeah, I think can swap in next session come back to this one and still like mix.
Okay, Satish?
I would like to talk about certifications as this is our first session, and then we
Okay.
dive into the fundamentals.
Okay, so let's do that. Is it okay if I give certificate? Is it okay if I give certification 5 minutes for us to talk about? We can always pick it up at a later session. Yeah, okay, cool. So talking about certifications, what questions do you all have?
I can give it a go. So there are lots and lots of certifications, like ranging from technical skills to something that gives you an overall frameworks and strategies to assess these things. So for somebody who is starting out, what does certifications alone won't are not sufficient in my opinion. You need practical experience to pair with it. But how does that journey of achieving certifications look like? Where do we start, and where can we look for step ups in the technical path?
Right. Okay. So there's a bit of echo there, Satish. If you can mute yourself. I think the very first question you need to ask yourself is this something I want to do? Is this something I want to learn about? So I'm being brutally honest with you all. If you jumping into this career or this learning path, thinking about money and money only and not thinking long term about your career, it's just a matter of time for you guys to be disappointed, right? So, and you might need to shift your path again. So choose a different path from that point. But I would say there are heaps of certifications in the cybersecurity space, starting from like very basic all the way to extremely complex for professionals that need to demonstrate experience, 5 years experience, 10 years experience. So a couple of certifications that I would recommend you guys to look at would be Security Plus, so CompTIA Security Plus. And the reason why I'm talking about that particular certification is it's generic in nature, right? So it does have some technical elements to it, but it gives you the foundation or a good foundation about cybersecurity. It's not like jumping into AWS security, right? AWS security does have cybersecurity component to it, but it's heavily focused on AWS. But if you guys understand the concept of cybersecurity, things become much easier when you decide to do a more technical certification, if that makes sense. Okay, we do have some questions here, comments. Do you guys have any points you want to raise, questions? So Satish is saying, I did Google Cybersecurity Cert, which preps you for CompTIA Security Plus. EC Council Certified Ethical Hacker. I've done that in 2006 or 7. So at the time, it was fairly new, but this is not a certification that the market looks at with good eyes. Okay, so if for let's say the more veteran players in the cyberspace, if you show up with an EC Council certified ethical hacker certificate, they're not going to laugh at you because they're polite, hopefully, but it's not a certificate that is taken seriously. I'm an EC2 certified ethical hacker myself, but nowadays it's not something that people look at with good eyes. So uh, for whatever reason, I'm not here to discuss the reason. I'm just sharing my knowledge with you guys. So if you have to choose between CompTIA Security Plus and Certified Ethical Hacker, I would heavily suggest that you pursue the Security Plus certification. Anything else? Anyone? Sarah?
Yeah, I was typing, but it's really faster just to
Sure.
to speak now. I was just checking in to see if you would think that the CompTIA Cert Plus is sort of the best baseline certificate to begin with. Like I'd also done the Cybersecurity Cert, which was great because you kind of got a feeling for cyber as well in doing that and different areas of cyber. But yeah, I guess primarily it sounds like the CompTIA, no matter which direction you're going, it's a good foundational certificate to start with.
It is indeed. So I think the underlying point is to understand the concept of cybersecurity. Why do we do what we do, right? As opposed to how is it done, right? So there are some certifications that help you understand the whys and some certifications that help you understand the hows. So those are the more technical that will test things like out of these 4 options, what's the right command line to push a policy to a firewall, right? So I first need to understand what a firewall is for, right? What's the purpose of having a firewall in my organization before I learn how to push rules to a firewall? So that's my personal opinion. That's going to give you a much better understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing things you're going to come across on a daily basis, as opposed to just pushing different buttons. I hope that answers the question. So are you all ready to jump into a quick exercise? I think we have 13 minutes, maybe 15 if you have another 2 minutes extra. Let me jump to the next slide here. I even forgot what the slides I had here, but hopefully I didn't skip any topics. So we gave some airtime for the three topics that you guys chose. But now jumping into something a bit more practical, and that's the fun part of it. Hopefully, I try to make it fun, but I will rely on your feedback if it's fun or not. But uh, today is your first day as a cybersecurity professional, okay? Suppose Cliffside Cybersecurity just hired you, and I bring this problem to you. So I will give you guys 2 minutes to read through. I don't need to read through it. But then we're going to jump into, okay, so what happens next? So if you have any questions about the scenario, you let me know. So I'll mute myself for a minute or two. Give me a thumbs up when you guys are done with reading so I know everyone has read it. We good? Cool. Awesome. So this is the problem we're trying to solve for our clients, and this part of the session is I want you guys to participate. Okay, don't be afraid to make mistakes or say something that you're not 100% sure about. The whole point is for us to discuss about it, right? So my first question to you is, what do they want to do? Can anyone tell me what they want to do? Go for it, Sarah.
It sounds like they're looking to establish the online presence via a website. And so whether it's through an e-commerce or standalone site, they'll be looking to facilitate checkout, have their products listed on there, and securely offer them.
Excellent. Yes, that's exactly it. So let's say they're a brick and mortar shop and they're looking to establish an online presence. What sort of products are they looking to sell online? Need to unmute yourself, Fernando.
Yeah, jewelry, special pieces like personalized.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. So we understand what they do and as a business and what they want to do from a technology perspective, right? Okay. So the very first lesson we're going to go through is I need you guys to tell me the threats that these new uh, uh, e-commerce website will be facing when they go online. And I want you to be as creative as possible with your ideas. Don't be afraid to be mistaken or make any mistakes. Uh, Tell me some basic threats that we need to be concerned about when we start doing cybersecurity for this client. I will write it down here, and then I will copy the whatever you guys tell me to the slide deck. So what's the first threats they might be facing? It's okay, like you don't need to raise your hand, just unmute yourself and tell me. So Fernando goes first.
Payments, online payments.
Okay.
They're selling high value goods, so it could attract nefarious actors, criminal organizations, for instance.
Personal identification PIIs.
Mm-hmm.
Delivery or pickup options. So in terms of how they're actually getting these products to their customers, the A to B kind of consideration.
Right. Can you give me one more?
Personal data from the customers.
Yeah, I think someone else mentioned it before. So PII. Yeah. Give me one more.
It's not just PII. Designs are like very like that's their creativity. So somebody can just look at that design and make a look-alike. So I think the copy
IP
designs, yeah,
intellectual property.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. You all deserve an A+, because we looked at the problem from different angles, right? So what I wrote down here is payments. So we need to secure their payment methods. High value goods. So they're selling something that is worth quite a lot of money. So there is possible fraud that is involved in their activity as well.
Mhm.
Personal identifiable data. So customers, so suppose someone is buying a ring worth $350,000. There is going to be lots of people curious to know who that person is, right? So definitely we need to protect customer data. Delivery. So am I delivering my goods to the right person? That's a great point. And the last one was intellectual property, which is the designs and so on and so forth. So move those across here, not now because we don't have much time, but for payments, are you guys familiar with the cybersecurity? So the three pillars that you need to consider from a cybersecurity perspective. It's written on the screen. Yeah, so Satish, CIA. So confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So Satish, can I ask you to mute yourself? I'm hearing my own voice. Sorry about that. So from a payments perspective, am I more concerned about confidentiality, integrity, or availability? Or all of them, or some of them?
I think all of them are equally important.
So CIA, they're equally important. Cool. So high value goods, so fraud, which one would be the most concerning here?
Integrity or confidentiality.
So IA, right? So integrity and confidentiality, you said, Sarah?
Yep.
So CI, right? So personal identification or personal data. You're on mute, Fernando.
Yeah, I think all of them. CIA again.
Do you guys agree?
Availability, maybe not so much, but I think the first two are definitely more important.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. The first two.
I would
But
agree
the
with Satish as well. Sorry, Paresh?
E-commerce, getting into e-commerce, the availability would be the it will be more crucial to being it available all throughout the clock. And if they are dealing with other countries, so they'll have to manage the time zones and being available there as well.
Excellent. That's an excellent point. So we didn't touch upon availability. So the availability of the website itself, because if the website is not up and running, there is no business, right? So there is no online business. So I'll mark it down here. Site availability. So the availability, and naturally the A is the big one there. So for delivery, which one am I more concerned about? Confidentiality, integrity, or availability?
Integrity.
Confidentiality as well?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, if people know that I'm sending a $350,000 ring via post, some other people might be interested in that parcel, right? And intellectual property.
Integrity. Potentially confidentiality as well too.
Confidentiality would be.
So you both agree on confidentiality, and Sarah mentioned integrity as well.
Yeah, brand integrity and brand recognition and reputation.
Okay, cool. So I'll quickly go through what we just talked about. So for payments, CIA, high value goods, fraud, and so on and so forth, CI, personal identification, CI, delivery, CI, intellectual property, CI, and site availability, A. We good till now? So we didn't even start talking about firewalls. We didn't even start talking about uh, technology at all, right? So let's understand the problem. And that's the very first step whenever you're doing a security assessment. When a client comes to you, you need to understand what they are trying to protect and what they are trying to do, right? So usually the business has an initiative because they want to grow, right? So they want to grow or they want to sustain their brand. So there are different reasons why a business might want to do something. But we need to, first of all, before we talk about firewall rules or patching, we need to understand why we're doing what we're doing. And if 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 you uh, if that's the only takeaway you take from this first session, that would be it, right? So let's understand what the business is trying to do first, what they're trying to protect. And this is the exercise we just did. So I don't know if I can edit it here on the slide itself. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this slide with you guys. And your exercise for next session is I want you to go through each one of the threats and their confidentiality, integrity, and availability implications, and tell me your perception of the severity of something happening to that particular or that threat taking place, right? So just using these as an example, payments. So if there is an issue with the payments from a confidentiality or an integrity point of view, using this 5x5 risk matrix, what's the likelihood of something happening to the payment system? What's the severity of, let's say, a cybersecurity event against their payment system? So the way I want you guys to do it is I will share these slide deck with you. And if you can just add your initials and the score. So let's say Satish, you're going to add SA 16, right? Fernando FO 2, and so on and so forth. So next for next session, we're going to spend the first 5 minutes going through these and discussing our points of view, our opinions, and coming to hopefully an agreement. Cool. Awesome. We're right on time. So I would like to thank you all for attending this session. Hopefully you've learned something new. Our next session is in 2 weeks from now. And that's the idea. Let's start with the very basic of cybersecurity. We're not even talking about technology yet. You need to understand why you're doing what you do. And then we're going to start layering all the knowledge and different areas of cyber so you guys get a good understanding of cyber from every angle. Not every angle, but most of the angles that usually apply to a problem. All good? Awesome. Cool. Thank you all for attending, and hopefully I see you all next week or 2 weeks in 2 weeks from now.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
No
guys.
worries. No worries. Thank you.
Thanks,
See you
Audrey.
all.
Next
That's
time.
great.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a lovely weekend. Bye
You-
bye. And
You
bye.
too. Bye.